Hey Harmonizers, look who it is. Do you recognize this little face? You might think it's Shiny, but it's actually Treasure. Some of you guys have been asking what's been going on with Treasure. Well, she is home in Canada and now she's getting started with training and really impressed me. This is my first time using the spray bottle on her, and she was just kind of like, sure, whatever, go ahead, brush my mane, use the spray bottle, no big deal, and was really, really nice to work with there. So for those of you guys that don't know who Tom's Treasure is, she is the little palomino Mustang from Antelope Valley, Nevada. And over a year ago now, I saw her get off the loading truck. She was rounded up as a Mustang and taken to a facility in Tennessee. And when she was there, I saw a video of her coming off the truck, and you guys know I love palominos and I also love Mustangs. So when I saw her get off, I was like, oh, I'd really like to have her. And she was 2 years old at the time. And so basically I reached out and I asked if I could adopt her, but because she was not a sale authority Mustang, she's not allowed to come to Canada right away. So there are two types of Mustangs from the government, the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and one type is a regular Mustang under adoption title, which means you adopt them and they have to stay within the states for an entire year. And then after you've had them for an entire year and you've proven that you take care of them and a vet signs off that they're healthy and they're okay, then you can have their title to actually own them. I'm just showing you that I'm using the Espana Silk Detangler there. And after that year, then you own the title, which means you can then take them and move them and they can come to Canada, which is what I had to do. All my other Mustangs that I get are what's called sale authority, which means that they were rejected by Americans 3 times, whether it be online auctions or sale events or training challenges. And if they were rejected 3 times, then they can become sale authority right away and come to Canada right away. So normally that's what I have to do, but when you get a horse that's been rejected 3 times, normally you usually get the very plain horses, the very small horses. And so when I saw Treasure, I thought, oh, I'd really like to have a Palomino Mustang, and I'm very unlikely to get one as a sale authority Mustang, so I decided to adopt her. So she spent an entire year at Harmonia Equestrian in Virginia. I went down to see her so I could gentle her, get the halter on her, do the basic first steps. And then since then, she's been doing very basic handling, like just kind of going in and out of her round pen to the big pasture, getting, like leading and stuff like that. And she did get her feet done, always under tranquilizer when she was down there, because she wasn't that trained yet. So she still needs a little bit of work picking up her feet and things like that. This is me just kind of feeling her out, moving her around a little bit, asking her to move her body a little bit, and establishing some positive reinforcement at home. And so she didn't really have like a lot of training while she was there, just a little bit of kind of keeping her knowing that people were friendly training. And so then now that she's home, she's now 3 years old, and she is going to finish out her 3-year-old year. And then the goal is next year, as she's 4 years old, we want to get her started under saddle and get her going under saddle. And then the goal is for her to compete at Extreme Cowboy Racing next year. So this is me just teaching her a little bit of sideways towards. So she seems really smart, which is great. She picked this up really quickly. And what I'm doing, because I don't have a ton of time between my kids and all the other horses that I have on the go, is I'm doing a lot of the work with her. And then I have a student who's also doing some work with her on the ground to just kind of keep up on the skills and get more practice with the things I'm already doing. So that's Natalie in the background there that just passed me her dinner bucket, and Natalie's the one doing the other handling skills with her. So essentially I'm kind of teaching something to her, like I'll start her long lining, and then the idea is that once I get the long lining pretty good, then Natalie will kind of keep her up on that. Because Natalie is not a horse trainer per se, but she's a very experienced student. So she can definitely help Treasure get some more miles on her. Here's a little look at her lunging stuff. And she's doing really nicely with this lunging circles, really willing at the trot. Natalie had that going pretty good in her sessions too, so that was really nice. And because all this groundwork is going really, really nicely, we're going to be getting to the long lining and get her going on the saddle part and putting things on her back and all that kind of stuff pretty quickly, because we want to progress. I want to progress and try to get her under saddle before I go to Florida for the wintertime would be great. So that way Natalie can keep up with what she's doing. But at the end of the day, the horses choose their readiness level. So we'll respect where she's at, but we're going to try to work her for a little bit most days to see if we can get her ready in time before I go to Florida. So this is asking her to jump the pool noodles. This was her first time being asked to do the noodles, and she can see she's a little bit confused at first. She doesn't really know, and I'm just very politely suggesting she should try. So I'm just guiding her straight towards them. She has done other jumps, but never pool noodles, and I was so impressed with her because she did those noodles and her feet touched the noodles and they moved, and she didn't freak out or get upset. And a lot of times for horses, when they do these noodles and the first time they hit them or touch them, it can be a little bit alarming for them sometimes because they move and they're kind of squishy and they're a little bit different. But she's just like, oh, I get to go to the grain bucket after I jump them? Okay, this is a pretty good deal. And normally I don't use a bucket like this, but because it was her supper time, I just thought, oh, well, we might as well make her supper time into a little bit of a training where she does a little bit of stuff, nothing too intense because she's eating her supper in between. And then she can have a couple bites of her meal, which is just alfalfa pellets and then a whole bunch of omega alpha supplements. She gets the Body Glow supplement, which I really love. It's a really nice oil supplement that gives them their omega-3s and really healthy oils, helps them get that shine and has helped her gain some weight. And then she gets the Biotic 8 for the probiotics. And then she gets the Mineral EQ for the balancing of the minerals. And then she gets the Vanitol or Vanitex, which has the vitamin E in it and is good for their muscle development. So she's doing really well with the noodles, just kind of up and over. Really, really happy about that. And you might wonder why sometimes I call her Treasure and sometimes I said Tom's Treasure. So Treasure is what we call her for short. That's her barn name. And then her kind of show name or bigger name is Tom's Treasure. And the reason for that is when she was down in Virginia for a year, I had a wonderful lady that sponsored her for the year, for her year of board at Harmonia Equestrian Center. And all her request is that I call her Tom's Treasure to honor her son's memory, who was in the military and ended up passing away. He took his own life. And so when I share Tom's Treasure and her story, the idea is that we want to spread mental health awareness at the same time and recognize the service of our military and be thankful and grateful for them, and just recognize how huge a role mental health is, and that more support is needed in that area. So we're spreading that message as we're going to be training her throughout this next year and get her going and get her exposed to all these types of things. And so her big name, her show name, we can't call it a registered name because Mustangs aren't really registered like that, but her show name, so to speak, is Tom's Treasure. And Jean's son's name was Tom, so that's why it's Tom's Treasure. And then and Treasure just for short. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. If you know anybody who served in the military that you'd like to thank, go ahead and leave their name in the comments and let us know. We'd love to thank them and know about them. And if you know anybody who struggles with mental health and has contemplated suicide, let us know in the comments. You don't have to leave their name, but just let us know. And we just want to spread that message of awareness and start to normalize talking about mental health and that whole piece, because as a society we can do better when it comes to mental health and helping people talk about it and find supports and things like that. So anyways, back to little Miss Treasure here. She is picking up her feet. So when she had her feet done at Harmonia, she was always under ACE or tranquilizer, just because she hadn't had a whole lot of picking up her feet work done. So here now I'm working on picking up her feet without using any tranquilizer and just working on lifting her legs and putting them back down. And you can see she's doing really well with that, a little bit kind of moving around and not 100% sure. One of the keys when you're picking up a horse's feet and teaching them to do that is to be careful not to hold it too long and kind of trap them, because that can be scary for them. So you want to kind of pick it up a little bit, hold it just a little bit, and then you want to put it back down. Start with those really little simple lifts and put back down, and then you start to pick it up for longer and longer as you build trust with them. And as I'm looking at her here doing this little video, I'm like, wow, she's really gained weight. Because remember, when I got her, she was just 2 years old, and now she's 3, soon to be in her 4-year-old year, and she's looking really nice. She's got a nice solid bone to her and looks kind of like a nice sturdy Mustang, which is great. And she's got that beautiful mane there that's stayed really, really nice. And what's really great is I walk behind her like that, and she's so nice and quiet, and she just seems really food motivated, which makes training a lot easier. So we're going to have a lot of fun and get things started with Tom's Treasure. So hopefully you guys are excited to follow along on her progress, and we'll have some more Mustang training videos for you guys coming very soon.